Microsoft has released AI Toolkit for VS Code, and it's nothing but an extension for VS Code that streamlines agent development. So with the toolkit, we can explore and evaluate models, and more importantly, we could build and test agents in minutes. So the features include model catalog, playground, agent builder, bulk run, model evaluation, and even fine-tuning, and there's even model conversion and tracing. So in this video, let's see how we can get started with AI Toolkit for VS Code, and let's see if we can build AI agents using the toolkit and see if we can deploy it as well. So let's get started. So to get started, go to extensions in your VS Code and type AI Toolkit. And the first hit that you get is the AI Toolkit for Visual Studio from Microsoft. So click on install. So we have the AI Toolkit now installed on the machine in our VS Code. And as a result of that, we can see this new icon on the left, which is AI Toolkit. So if I click on that, we can see that we have the model tools, we have the agent and workflow tools, and we have the MCP workflow. So these are the three main components of the AI Toolkit. So under the model tools, we have model catalog, model playground, and conversion. So let's explore the model catalog first. Model catalog, as the name says, has different models that are available for us to use. For example, they are grouped under popular models and GitHub models, which are hosted in GitHub, and you can scale seamlessly with pay as you go. And there are Azure Foundry models, which are hosted on Azure AI Foundry for limitless tokens. And the beauty is that you can run local models. You can choose a small model, something like V4, and you can just run locally. You don't have to pay anything for that. And you can even have custom models that you can actually add and you can just run here. So let's choose a simple model, say V4 from Microsoft, and click on Add from GitHub. Now that we have chosen V4, if I go to Model Playground, it gives a pop-up saying that the extension AI Toolkit wants to sign in using GitHub because we are trying to use a GitHub model, but we are actually not signed in. So we need to allow that. I click on Allow, then it says select the user to authorize VS Code. I'm just going to click on AI Bytes, continue, and it's going to authorize VS Code. So I've now approved of the request. It's asking me to open VS Code again. So when I open VS Code, we are now ready to prompt to the model, and I can ask whatever I want here. So we can see that in the drop down for the model, 5.4 is selected, and there's a system prompt we can provide, and there's a max token response, temperature, everything we can set similar to how we, let's say, deal with the model in an API request. Say, I'm just going to ask, how are you doing today? And it's pretty quick, and you can see that I'm an AI. I don't have feelings, but I'm here and ready to help you with any questions or tasks you have. So that was Model Playground. And by the way, going back to the model catalog, we can also see that there are a bunch of options to run the model locally. For example, we can use a Onyx model, which is a CPU optimized one. So if you don't have a GPU, you can run any model from the list on your CPU machine, or you can use Ollama to pull any models to your local machine and run them locally. So with that said, we can also move on to the next section, which is about Agent Builder, which is the super cool feature and the most happening space in AI today. So let's say it's going to be a test agent, give agent name, and I can choose which model I would like to use. So I'm just going to say 5.4, and I can give any instructions that I want. And we can see that in order to get started, there are also examples on the right. For example, there's a web developer example, second grade simplifier example, and dream interpreter example. So I'm just going to say second grade simplifier. Immediately, the instructions have completely populated, and it says your task is to rewrite the given text in a way that it's easy for young learners in grade 3 to 5 to read and understand, simplify advanced vocabulary, break down long sentences, explain difficult concepts in simple language. So basically the prompt is to simplify anything that's given. There's even an improve option. So if I click on that, check our documentation to learn how AI Toolkit improves the instruction of your AI agent, and we can describe what we want to change, and then we can click on improve. But there's also this option to open an editor. So if I say open an editor, then I can really give a long instruction that's very detailed. And there's also variables, which we can do in double curly braces, and there's also tools, because the AI4 model doesn't support tools. We're not able to see any tools here. So that's about the instructions, variables, and the tools. And on the right, we can see that an example saying that the mitochondria, often referred to as the powerhouse of the cell, are essential organelles that play a crucial role in the production of adenose triphosphate through the process of cellular respiration. Clearly, this is quite complicated for a 10-year-old. Let's see what it comes up with. Test agent. Let's see what the test agent has simplified to. Mitochondria are tiny parts inside cells that help make energy. They are like little power plants for the cell. They turn food into a special energy called ATP, which the cell uses to do all its important jobs like moving and growing. This process is called cellular respiration. Definitely, it has simplified it really well. So that is how we can go about building any agents. The next cool feature after AI Agent Builder is bulk run. So let's go to bulk run. In order to do bulk run, all that we need to do is in the Agent Builder page, we just need to switch to evaluation. We can either add empty rows or we can upload our own data set. We have to prepare the data set, but then if we see here, there's the option to generate data. So if I click on that, I can generate data, number of data to generate. I can increase it to say, let's say I'm generating 5 data and it's showing us the generation logic, and I can just click on generate and it's going to generate the data set for us in order to do a bulk run. So we can see that this is row number 1, row number 2, and we have 5 rows. We are now ready to do a bulk run. So we can compare the result for this data. We can compare the result with other versions of the agent if we have different versions of the agent, or we can export the data and we can add evaluation. So if I click on add evaluation, now that we have 5 rows for our data, we can just click on expand in order to visualize. We need to visualize the data. We can choose which one we want to choose for evaluation. And then I can simply click here to run response, and we can see that we'll be getting the response for each of the prompts. It's generating one after the other. The 4th one is running and the final one is running. So that's how we can do a bulk run. And next comes evaluation. Again, for evaluation, we need to have a data set. We can create an evaluation. Let's call it test evaluation, enter, and we can choose the evaluator that we want to use. For example, if it's RAG or if it's a general evaluator or the accuracy, precision, and recall, we can choose based on the task that we are using. We can even evaluate for F1 score. And once we have chosen that, we just have to click OK, and we need to import a data set. Once we do that, it'll obviously ask us to import a CSV file or data set in some format. Once we have imported that, we can see that under evaluator, we can choose even here, we can choose what evaluation metric that we want to use, for example, similarity or F1 score, and then click on create evaluator, and we should be able to run the evaluation for a given model for a given data set. That's super cool. So next comes tracing. Tracing is when you actually want to monitor the performance of your application, be it a part of your AI application or end-to-end API or a complete application. So if we go under tracing, we can see that there's a button to start collector. We can start collection and it starts running. We can stop the collector. We actually have to start with setting up the trace. So if we want to, make it fine grain and set it up properly, then you'll have to go to setup tracing. We can see that it's creating a virtual environment and it will install the needed Python packages in order to do the tracing. So I'm not going to go into the details, but we do have the option to trace your entire AI application. Then comes the MCP server. We can create a new MCP server, or we can add an existing MCP server. These are the different options to add an MCP server. We can go by a JSON file or we can use GitHub. So one of the next cool features is that of adding MCP servers or even creating a new MCP server. So if I click on create new MCP server, it gives couple of options. Select a MCP server template. So it comes with templates which are for Python or for TypeScript. Let me choose the Python template. Then it asks us where it actually wants to save. We can just choose the default one and we have to input a name for the server. Let's say test MCP and enter to confirm your input. I'm just going to hit enter. Then I say trust the authors for the file. Yes, I trust. And it has created the whole new project where I can actually go ahead and, there's a server under your SRC. And if I go under that, we can see that this is annotated with server.tool, meaning that this is a new MCP server. We can give all the details here. We can edit whatever we want, and we will have our new MCP server ready to be deployed. So that is all that I wanted to walk you today about the AI toolkit for Visual Studio. We saw about model catalog, playground, agent builder, bulk run, model evaluation, and tracing. We haven't looked into fine tuning or the model conversion. So let me know in the comments if you really want to see a video about fine tuning any model. I will be more than happy to do that for you guys. And I will see you in my next video. Until then, take care.